Welcome back to Beach Talks with the Barber Coach. So this is the second episode. In the first one last week, it was just an introduction talking about what my idea is with regards to these beach talks. And then I mentioned that the focus is going to be on business-related topics, barber-related topics, and also now and then touching on mental health issues, because that is also something that's a subject that's close to my heart, you know. But mainly we're going to be focusing on business and barber-related topics, hence why I'm the barber coach. So if you don't know who I am and you don't follow me already, my name is Matthew Guerin. I'm the barber coach. I am 2018 British Master Barber of the Year, 2019 BBA British Barber of the Year. I'm a multiple business owner. I have 3 shops in South Wales, and I also have an online training academy called the Barber Coach TV. And on that online training academy, it's basically like a support manual, like a guide for barbers and beginners, like a bit of a Bible that you can fall back on. You know, if you're stuck with a certain subject or category, there'll be something on there that you can go to for a refresher or a reminder. Or if you've got a haircut booked in that you've not done before because you're new to the industry, there'll be a category there hopefully covering that haircut, so you can give yourself a good chance at completing that haircut successfully by watching the video tutorial and giving yourself a good understanding of what's needed to approach that cut before you start, even with no experience. So yeah, there's a bit of something for everyone on there. There are other educators that I'm working with producing content. Come on, Diesel. Diesel's my dog. So this is an organic talk. I'm walking and talking on the beach while walking my dog. There's my dog. So we are going to have some distractions and hiccups. This is my view. So this is where I'm living. So I'm living in Newquay in West Wales. And so quickly going back to the Barber Coach TV. So basically the Barber Coach TV is an online training platform that is there to support barbers, beginners, hairdressers with categories of topics that will help you progress and be the best you possibly can be as a hairstylist and a hair professional. So I used to teach in college, so I got an introduction to barbering section on their category with all the different courses and topics that you will find on an NVQ level 2 college course. And I put that together so that people who are attending college or doing apprenticeships, doing their qualification, they can use the Barber Coach TV to support them as a tool, as a manual, to give them a good start and a good chance at completing that qualification successfully. So that's the Barber Coach TV. And as well as putting content on there that you can subscribe to, you can access all areas for a monthly subscription. I've decided it'll still be healthy for myself to do these beach talks, and the whole idea is it gets me out of the house and gets me doing a bit of exercise. It's also going to be good for my mental health to get out, to get walking the dog in the fresh air, to experience God's creation. And I thought at the same time then I can produce content, walking and talking and giving people information, covering questions and covering topics that people may be struggling with, and that will be free of charge, you know. So I will be producing talks, and there'll be some cut-in content going out on the Barber Coach TV on YouTube, but the more in-depth then and more, you know, exclusive content will be available on the Barber Coach TV. But I'm still going to be creating stuff on the Barber Coach TV YouTube page. These will come on, boy. And mainly these beach talks with the Barber Coach are just me discussing these subjects, any questions people may have asked me on Instagram, or questions that I may get asked quite regular while teaching in salons or in colleges. I'm going to try and cover answering those questions while walking my dog on the beach. So I've rabbled on a little bit now, but now you have a bit of an idea of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So let's get to this week's topic. And this week's topic is how to get started in the barbering industry. Now this is something I get asked all the time on social media. Customers ask me this question a lot. They come in for their haircuts and they say like, oh, I'd love to become a barber. I don't know where to start. What's the best thing to do? So there's a few different ways you can go about it. But one thing I always say to anyone interested in barbering, because what you generally find is they'll say to me, like, I'll ask them, why do you want to be a barber? Oh, it looks really cool. Have you heard it's good money? You know, I like cutting hair. I take interest in hair. I like fashion, and you know, I like how you can dress trendy and have tattoos and all this. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, okay, that is, you know, I suppose some of the truth. People do have tattoos and they do dress trendy, and you can earn good money after 2, 3, 4, 5 years of very, very hard work. But the first thing I always say to them is, how do you feel about being on your feet for 10, 12 hours a day holding a brush? And they look at me stupid, you know. And I say, because that's the reality of it. Before you make any money cutting hair, you've got to learn to be on your feet for a long time, brushing the floors after other barbers who are making loads of money, potentially. And that's what it'll feel like. That's my point. That's what it'll feel like. You'll feel like you're going to be brushing the floor for other people who are making good money and you're making nothing. That's what it's going to be like at the start. Especially for junior barbers, young barbers, youngsters, you know, leaving college and stuff. You're going to work in a barber shop as an apprentice or whatever. You know, a lot of the time you're going to be running back and forth to the shop for the bosses or the seniors, and you're going to be brushing the floors a lot. So I suppose if you're happy doing that for 6 to 9 to 12 months before you pick up a clipper, then maybe this industry's for you. If the thought of that sounds absolutely brain-numbing, then you might want to have a look at starting in a different career. So, if that is something that you think you could put up with until you start making money, come on boy, then there's a few different avenues you can go down. So, obviously it's good to get qualified. So with the Barber Coach TV, we don't offer a qualification. When I teach in person and things, I don't offer a qualification. Mine is just sort of support courses, refresher courses, you know, additional training, additional support, 2 qualifications and 2 apprenticeships, you know. I don't try to replace qualifications with what I'm offering. It's something that I think would support you as you're getting qualified. So just want to make that clear. A lot of barbers out there, experienced ones, will say like, oh, these pop-up courses and these online courses are a load of crap, you don't learn anything. And I, you know, if you're an absolute beginner and you've not done an apprenticeship or you're not doing a qualification, and then trying to sign up to something like the Barber Coach TV to learn from scratch, yeah, you're going to struggle. You know, it's not something that's created for that. You know, but the Barber Coach TV has been created to support people doing their qualifications. So I know I'm repeating myself a bit now. I do apologise. I just want to make that clear. So there's a few things you can do. So there's obviously going to college. Now, you know, if you're just leaving school and, you know, you're looking for maybe starting your first apprenticeship or starting your first job, or, you know, you still want to go back to do further education, then, you know, there's a few opportunities. So there are part-time barber courses that you could do like 1 night a week in a college and still get an NVQ level 2 qualification. Now that's handy because at the same time then you can still earn as you learn. You can find other jobs, you know, you can do a part-time job somewhere else as you're gaining your qualification, and that's what I did. I was later starting. I was 26 getting qualified, but I'd been cutting hair from the age of 14, self-taught, practicing on my mates, on my dad, on my my brother, you know. And then it was only when I was 26 and I already had a professional job in the builders merchant industry. I was an area sales manager, I had a company car, I was earning a good salary, good bonuses. And I decided it wasn't satisfying me, it wasn't fulfilling me. I was coming home from the builders merchant industry and then cutting hair at home for 3 or 4 hours a night, every night. And I just thought to myself, right, this is enough. It's about time I pursue this qualification and see how far it takes me, you know. So I went to college and did a part-time NVQ in college and got my qualification while still working in the days. Now, if you've just left school, so I'll go back to that, sorry, I'm jumping the gun a bit here. So if you've just left school, you know, it'll be a perfect, this is what I think is the best option, yeah? If you're young and you're starting from scratch, join college, Start with your NVQ level 1, where you gain your, your health and safety and understand the biology of hair, and you just learn the basics. Then alongside that, then you get an apprenticeship in the salon or in a barbershop, where you learn the trade firsthand. You get to understand the salon environment, you get to learn from other experienced stylists, and yeah, you will be brushing the floor a lot and cleaning the shop and running to grab coffees and stuff. That's all a part of the journey, and I think that's the best way, because you learn a trade correctly. You learn the right skills in the right environment from the start. These will come on, and there's no hiding there. You have to learn from scratch in a salon environment. I'm repeating myself again here, I do apologise. My dog's flipping running rings on me and I'm tripping over the lead, so I'm getting distracted, sorry. So I think that's the best option personally, but that's not the only option. So I didn't have that novelty. I was just lucky that I was able to practice on my mates, but I did go to college and learn and get qualified correctly. And then you got other companies then. There's a few in Wales that I know of. They're like academies that do crash courses. So like in 3 months, you work full time in this academy for 3 months and you gain your qualification. And then they send you off to the real world then to try and find a job. I know I've worked with some barbers who have done that and they've gone on to be really good barbers. But I'd say my biggest clientele of people wanting additional learning are people that have done these courses. They've done the courses, they've got their qualification, but they've only been cutting for 3 months and they find that there's still a lot to learn, and they tend to be the ones that are booking me to go back and teach them certain skills in person, But, it's still an option. You might struggle to find work. Barbershops will give you jobs because you're qualified, and some of these academies do have good reputations and they've got contacts with barbershops who will give their student jobs. So there are opportunities out there. But I also know a lot of barbershops that won't give these sort of barbers a time of day, unfortunately, because they'll think that 3 months isn't enough to learn a trade. And it's true, because even if you're qualified after 3 months, learning your trade takes forever. I'm still learning my trade, I've won lots of competitions, I've taught in colleges, I've got lots of shops. Doesn't mean I'm not still learning. There's always something I come across in the barbershop, or a client, a customer who has difficult hair and wants a certain style, and I've got to approach it differently. There's so many different scenarios that you're always learning from. So to try and, squeeze it all into 3 months and hope you can just get into a barber shop and be successful, that's going to be a seriously big ask, It's going to be a very difficult, very, very difficult avenue to achieve success fast. It's going to be difficult, but it is doable. These courses aren't cheap. You're looking at about £3,000 plus to gain this qualification in 3 months. Right, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted again. So I'm looking at the tide come in and I'm thinking, I think I need to make my way back because I'm going to get stuck on this beach otherwise. So that's one of the ways. So I'm just going to refresh on them before I move on to the next option. So if you're new, if you're young, if you're leaving school and you don't mind going back to college to gain your qualification and then also get an apprenticeship at the same time, that's a very good way of doing it. If you're able to do that, you've got then the part-time qualifications. That means you can do it while working alongside. These will come on alongside your work. Right, 2 seconds. Let me just untangle my dog who keeps trying to sniff other dogs. Bear with me as I just pause this. Okay, apologies for that. Hopefully now you will get my undivided attention. Next time I might not bring my dog. So, as we were refreshing, if you're young, you're leaving school, you're going to college, you get an apprenticeship, you're doing 1 day a week in college, and then you're doing 3 or 4 days a week in a salon, learning your trade the conventional way, doing 2 or 3 years before you potentially even start cutting customers' hair. But this is what I would say the industry would class as the correct way of doing it, If you don't have that, if you're a bit later on in life starting, like I have, and you have a job commitment, so it's more attractive to do it one night a week, but you potentially have the opportunity to still practice on friends and things, and great. But if you're working full time and just doing barbering one night a week, it's going to be virtually impossible to be successful if you're not already experienced, or if you don't already have some experience cutting hair. So if you're doing it completely from scratch and hoping then that by getting this qualification, it takes about 9 months, you can then walk into a job and just crack on, you know, as if you've been doing it for years. It's not going to happen. I was lucky that I'd been cutting hair from 14. I'd learnt by making mistakes. I tried things out on my friends. So when I went back to college, I already had a basic knowledge, a basic understanding. And then the truth of it is, if you're watching this from other countries and not from the UK, then it's a little bit different, because here it's not licensed yet, and you don't actually have to be qualified to be a barber. So if, for instance, I don't know, you feel that you don't want to go back to college, or that's not something for you. I know proper education scares some people. They feel like they're more confident hands-on, but they don't like the idea of going and doing exams and doing theory work. In the UK, you don't necessarily have to get a qualification to work as a barber. I know there's a lot of companies working on changing that, and working with the government to put more legislation into place so that not any old person can just pick up a tool and start cutting your hair, because obviously there are hygiene issues and there is safeguarding issues, and things do have to be done a certain way and have to be done correctly and professionally. So, you know, it is frowned upon to just go into the industry without getting qualified, but it's still an option. So what I would recommend is, for people that come to me maybe in their 30s or 40s and they think they'd like to become a barber, I say to them to get in touch with a local barbershop that has a good reputation. So ask around where everyone seems to think is, you know, well skilled and do things professionally to a high standard, and volunteer there. And most barbers are so busy cutting, they don't really want to be brushing the floors or making teas and coffees. So if you really want to learn a skill but you don't have $3,500 to do a crash course, get in touch with your local barbershop and just say, look, it's something I am interested in. I like the sound of becoming a barber. I've never done it before. Would you mind if I volunteer and brush the floors for you and make some teas and coffees for you all as you're cutting, and just watch how things are done? And then, you know, all I ask in return is that maybe in time, if you feel like that I have the potential, or you know, you like working with me, that you would give me an opportunity to practice some haircuts and you would train me. So that's one of the other ways of doing it. And worst case scenario, you do it, realise it's not for you, realise that being on your feet brushing the floors for 10 hours a day is the worst thing you've ever heard of, then at least then you've not wasted $3,500 on a qualification. But really speaking, I believe anybody can be a barber with the right effort. Anybody can learn to cut hair to a good standard to earn a living. Not everybody has what it takes to stick out the hard road to get there. You know, some people love it enough, they pick it up quite quick. They don't, you know, they're not scared to get their hands dirty and make mistakes on their friends' hair, and it helps them pick things up quicker. But it can still take years before you build a clientele. It could be difficult to get a barbershop to take a chance on you, to give you a job. You're more likely going to get offered to rent a chair in a barbershop or do a commission share than what you are to actually get in an employed position. That's a lot more rare, that is. And generally, employed positions aren't always paid that well, you know, because there's a lot of risk for the barbershops and for the owners to take. So, yeah, anybody with the right work ethic, please come here. Anybody with the right work ethic can build their skills and knowledge up to standard to earn a good living. But it could be a long, boring road to get to that point with making virtually no money at all. And that's the truth of it. So if you're in a position financially to go back to college and give up your day job, this is talking to older students, and you can do an apprenticeship where you work in a salon, watching other stylists. I nearly broke my ankle then. Watching other stylists cut and just learn from them, learn the salon sort of etiquette, how people communicate, how they talk. There's a lot involved. You do your college 1 day a week. This is probably the best process, like I've said many times. If you are in a position to do that, great. If not, you can do a crash course in 3 months, cost you $3,000 plus. You could do a 1 night a week course. It takes about 9 months to get your qualification, but I'd still advise you or recommend, if you're not already cutting hair for friends and family, to speak to a local barber shop and ask to volunteer. If you ask to volunteer, there's a very good chance they're going to take a chance on you. If you ask for a job, they're going to say to you, what experience have you got? You're going to say, I've just done my NVQ level 2, or I'm doing my NVQ level 2. They're going to think, I don't give a crap, that doesn't mean anything, what experience have you got? Because they want to know that you know how to hold a clipper, you can do a skin fade in 30 minutes, you know how to hold the scissors, you know how to style hair. That's what matters, because that's what makes money. Barbers earn good money, it's a good living, but they're very unlikely to become millionaires. So they haven't got all this surplus cash to go giving people full-time jobs if they're not going to be making any money in return. Which is the same for any business. But like so many supermarkets and whatever else, they're making so much money that if they accidentally employed 5 too many staff for one supermarket, they probably wouldn't even notice it. In the barbershop, every single staff is accounted for down to the penny. They're not going to take any dead wood on. It's going to only cost you money. So you've got to consider that. So I would always recommend asking the barbershop to volunteer there. Put the effort in, work hard, brush the shop, make them teas and coffees. Ask questions at the correct times. Rather than interrupting every time they're speaking to a customer, but maybe after the haircut, ask something. Write notes down. If they are doing something that doesn't make sense to you and you want to know more about it, make a note of it, and afterwards ask them then about that topic. But hang on 2 seconds. Tease out, bear with me. Okay, so apologies for cutting you off there again. These are organic talks, which I've said before. So I'm out just on the seaside with my dog, and he decided to stop to take a shit, as they do. So hence why I had to cut you short. So just finishing up again. I can't remember the last bit I said, I do apologise. If I have missed anything at the end of this, please comment on the video, message me on social media. On Instagram, I am _barber_coach. And if you want to message me direct, you can go onto the Barber Coach TV. If you want to email me direct, go onto the Barber Coach TV website. It's thebarbercoachtv.com, and you can send an email direct to me through that page. And you can have a see it, sort of the layout and the look of the Barber Coach TV itself. And if you have topics you'd like me to discuss, you have questions that you're unsure of with regards to things in the barbering world, send me a message. If you have mental health concerns, especially related to your work, especially related to the barbering industry, then message me, and I'd like to discuss it with you. And if I can, I'll do a talk on it. Bringing this talk to an end, the beach talk with a barber coach, with a few options to become a barber. Go to college, I would recommend, is probably the best way of doing it. 1 day a week and then get an apprenticeship. If you can't, do the 1 day a week evening course and volunteer in a barbershop. That's what I was saying, I remember now, before you took a shit. Volunteer in a barbershop and ask, maybe after a month or 2 of watching, if you can have a go at doing a haircut. Buy a doll's head. Practice doing cuts on a doll's head. Ask the bosses in the barbershop to watch you and point you in the right direction. It'll take a long time, but eventually you could get to a position where you're earning good money. The other option is doing a $3,500 3-month crash course and getting qualified. You will get experience on the job. These are barbershop related academies, so not related, they are barbershops, and you will learn as cutting in a shop, so you do gain experience. but 3 months is still very short to learn, your trade. You've still got a lot of learning to do afterwards. And if the whole thought of getting a qualification is just beyond your thinking, then in the UK you don't necessarily have to be qualified. I'm not advising that that's okay to crack on, but if that's the only option you've got, you're cutting hair for friends and family. I've got to make sure these people aren't in my shot. You're cutting hair for friends and family, and you love it. You've got a full-time job, so you don't really want to leave that to go back to college. Just volunteer in a barbershop 1 day a week. Ask plenty of questions. Practice on your friends and family. And sign up to the Barber Coach TV, because then we have videos on there that can help you learn, progress. And contact me on Instagram. That's probably the best way to get hold of me. Contact me on Instagram. I pick up my messages there quite regularly. Send me any questions you may have, and I'll create a beach talk on it if I can. So, my name is Matthew Guerin, and I'm the Barber Coach. Have a good night.